We're going to start in 2 minutes. And as people do join us, if you want to use that chat and type in where you are from, that would be so fantastic. And what PTA or what school district. Rob, I'm going to turn things over to you and Garen and Patty. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. It is my pleasure to introduce today Gavin Fisher, who is our youth member for the New York State PTA governance team. And he's been working hard to coordinate and bring this webinar together. He's been working with the U.S. Secret Service on this for quite a bit of time. So thank you, Gavin, and he'll kick off the introductions. But before I hand it off to Gavin, Patty, would you like to say hello?
Good evening, everyone. It certainly is not every day that you get a chance to meet with the U.S. Secret Service. And really, let's be real, it's not any day in a decade that you usually get to meet with the Secret Service. So that alone was irresistible to me tonight. And I want to just thank Garen Fisher for the work that he has done. Our youth members continue to amaze and impress us with the work that they are doing on behalf of PTA and our units and our members. So thank you, Garen. Thank you, Rob. I am really looking forward to tonight's presentation.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Garen Fisher. I'm the New York State PTA Youth Member, and I'm really glad we're having this conversation about internet safety for youth. It's a topic that affects all of us, whether you're a parent, a sibling, or a young person like me. It's my honor to introduce tonight's speaker, Mr. Jamie Russ Padre. He brings decades of experience in public service, including over 20 years in the U.S. Air Force, and that is how his role with the U.S. Secret Service, he got his role with the U.S. Secret Service. He currently works in the Office of Trimming, but what's especially relevant for us tonight is his role as an ambassador with the Forensic Services Division and National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Through this work, he's been providing outreach to schools and communities, helping families better understand how to keep kids safe in the digital world. Mr. Padre has been recognized with Community Outreach Awards in both 2023 and 2024. And beyond all his professional accomplishments, he's also a proud father, so he truly understands what it means to protect and support young people. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Russ Padre.
Good evening. Thanks, Garrett, for that. Man, I don't know where you got some of that stuff, but thanks for the great introduction. First of all, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to present to you tonight. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, only probably because I have 2 daughters myself. And, with them growing up, there's been, instances where as a parent, you kind of want to always keep your children safe. And this is a topic that I'm going to go over. This is a presentation specifically for parents and guardians and local communities. We do have specific presentations for the different age groups from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. They're age specific, and it brings awareness to them on internet safety. But this one tonight, you're going to get the parent one, so that way you're able to kind of monitor and assist your children with keeping them safe, not only online, but offline. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. And first of all, everyone can see my screen, right? All right, so we'll go to the first slide. This is internet safety. Again, presentation for parents, guardians, and communities. This slideshow is put out by the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. We officially call it NCMEC. It's a lot quicker to say that, but again, these are for this information is for parents. Right? Okay. Again, it's an online safety program, again, for children and families in grades kindergarten to 12th grade. All right, so the first question I'm going to ask is, what do your children do online? All right. Now, this varies by age, but I want to say there's one common denominator. A lot of kids like to play games, right? Whether they're kindergarten, first grade, whatever, all the way through high school. A lot of kids like to play games. Now, while it's fun and exciting to play games, we like to make people be aware that there are some risks when you're online. Not only games, but social media, chatting, listening to music, all that kind of stuff. There are risks when you go online. But like I said, the common answer for all the age groups is they like to play games. And in some of those games, they communicate with other players, okay? So again, online, playing games, listening to music, watching videos on YouTube, all that good kind of stuff. I like to do that kind of stuff too. So the main point here, technology can't catch everything that happens online. So the biggest thing you want to do is have open communication with your children. Okay, you want to start off as young as possible. It might be a little bit too late if you're trying to talk to your 17 or 18-year-old and trying to teach them what to do and what not to do. They're probably not going to listen to you. Trust me, I have an 18-year-old in the house now, and it's a bit challenging. But communicate. Okay, you want to have open communication. You don't want to scare them. So that way, if they do see something inappropriate or something scares them or confuses them, they can come to you. They feel comfortable coming to you and letting you know about it. Okay, so open communication is a big key. Okay, there's several risks when they go online. They might see inappropriate content. We'll talk about online privacy, online enticement, sexting, sextortion, cyberbullying. Now, you might have heard of most of these terms here, but we'll go over each one of these so we can further explain to you what those are. So talk about risks at every age group, all right? For the younger children, we talk about netiquette, and that's kind of a weird word because the majority of kids now, they don't even know what the word etiquette means, right? And I do these presentations to the kids and I tell them, when I was your age, we actually had a class in school, an etiquette class. And I asked the kids to raise their hand if they know what etiquette is. And maybe out of a group of 50 or 60 children, maybe one or two might raise their hand and they know what the definition of etiquette, right? And I tell them, well, basically it's just good manners. Netiquette is having good manners while you're on the internet. So it's a kind of a play on words, right? You want to talk to your younger children about being polite, having good manners. Talking about looking at inappropriate content, right? There's things that are bad out there. And this is a crazy world we live in. And there are predators out there and they target specifically young children. So, and children are naturally curious. So talk to them about looking at inappropriate content. Sometimes there's pop-ups asking for passwords or your email or account information. Let them know, hey, don't respond to that with any information that they're asking for. This is a big one, not trusting everyone you meet online. Across the country, that happens every day, multiple times a day throughout the country, okay? Those are the horror stories that you hear where a child is on an online game. The popular ones now, and I'm sure those of you with children who play games, Minecraft and Roblox. I think there's even a Minecraft movie that's out. Surprisingly, I have a 22-year-old that likes to play Minecraft also. So I've seen it before, but I don't know what the draw is. But anyway, in those games like that, they can actually chat with other players, whether it's, typing in a chat, or they can put a headset on and they can actually talk to other players. Now, there are predators out there, and of course with AI nowadays, they have the technology where they can sound like someone else. Someone with as deep a voice as me, a male voice, with software that's out there, I can sound like a third grade female. Okay, so you got young children out there, and they think they're talking to another child. And these predators, they try to gain the trust of the children, eventually to try to convince them to meet online. Hey, offline. Let's go meet at the playground. Let's go meet at the mall or whatever. Okay. Tell your children, don't trust anyone that you meet online, because you don't know who they really are. That's the scary thing. And a lot of times those are the ones that end up in abductions, and then eventually child trafficking, all the horror stories that you hear. Very scary, but that's reality. That's the world we live in. So I'm not going to try to scare you tonight. You might be a little bit taken back by some of the things that I tell you, but I'm just trying to make everyone aware of what's out there, so you can better protect your children. Okay, because they're just children. They don't know what's out there. They don't know. They think the world is unicorns and rainbows, right? And we all know it is definitely not like that. For the older children, the tweens and the teens, everyone knows about cyberbullying. Don't do it. Sexting, you're not going to be able to stop sexting. That's just something that's there, and as they, get older in age, that's something that they get curious about. Their friends or classmates are doing it, so they're gonna, try to test out their boundaries. Okay, so sexting, we just want to let you know what to look out for. Okay. This is a big deal. Posting personal inappropriate information, such as revealing photos, inappropriate information like your personal information. You don't want to do that, because people can actually, if they decide that they want to stalk you, they have your information. So that's kind of a no-no. Meeting offline, these are for kids that are 16 and over that can probably, say they can drive out on their own. They go out to the mall or whatever. If they really want to meet someone offline, it's there. The possibility is there, because you're not always with them. So you want to kind of set ground rules with your older kids that are driving. And, hey, they tell you that, they might tell you that, hey, they're going to go meet someone that they met. You say, set a ground rule like, okay, either myself or your mother are going to go out there with you for the first time you meet this person. Okay, maybe something like that, for example. Right. So those are some of the risks at the different age groups. Why start conversations when they're young? Obviously, you want to build a strong relationship foundation between you and your child, developing trust. You want to be more comfortable talking about uncomfortable topics. I'm a girl dad. I got 2 daughters. So there are times where mommy wasn't around, and they wanted to talk to me about girl stuff. Okay, I'm very uncomfortable talking about girl stuff, but you got to force yourself to be more comfortable, because like I said, sometimes the motherly figure is not around to answer any of their questions. So it just takes practice, but if I can do it, anyone can do it. Help develop their critical thinking and problem solving skills. Support their child's development of resiliency. Mommy and daddy are not going to be with them, through their entire life, protecting them from, hey, dad, someone sent me this inappropriate picture or this inappropriate text. Okay. You want to develop your own problem solving skills. Hey, report it, or, whatever, because you're not always going to be around when stuff like that happens. And trust me, you don't want them at 30 years old coming back to you and saying, hey, dad, I got an inappropriate text, teach them to be self-supportive. All right. So these types of conversations, like it says on the screen, will help your child stay safe online and offline. Right. Inappropriate content. This is some of the examples: pornography, excessive violence, hate speech, risky or illegal behaviors, such as underage drinking or possibly drug use. Okay, risky or illegal behaviors. you know, they might fall under peer pressure and, you know, get involved with some of these things, but they have to know, hey, there's consequences to every action. So if it's risky or illegal, just know that it might affect them in the long run. All right. Okay, next slide. Okay, you want to be a trusted adult. A trusted adult is exactly what it says, an adult that a child can trust. Okay, it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, an adult age sibling, a teacher, sports coach. They can all be trusted adults as long as your child can trust them anytime something bad or frightening or confusing happens. Okay, to be a trusted adult, you want to listen without judgment or shame. Very hard to do as a parent, right? Your first reaction is you judged them. Okay, what do you mean you saw that adult website? You know, what did you do? Why'd you do that? Okay, you're judging them. So try not to do that because they might not come to you next time something happens. Help them take action. Okay, if something scares them, confuses them, makes them feel sad, confused, you know, help them take action. Remain calm. All right. So when they do reach out to you, you don't want to get mad at them. You don't want to scare them. Everything like that. Just remain calm. Respect their boundaries. No matter what age or how young they are, kind of remember or realize that they do have the right to privacy. As you know, even if they're young children, they kind of respect their boundaries. Now, I used to tell my two girls, okay, I'll give you guys privacy and you have boundaries, but here's the thing: if I see anything that's risking your safety, I'm going to cross that boundary. I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep you safe. All right. So I'm still going to give you privacy, but if I see or hear something that's that's threatening to you or risky to you, I'm jumping over that boundary. Okay. I'm coming full blast. So you want to respect it, but you want to, also keep them safe. Help them to identify other trusted adults in case they can't reach out to you. You might have a home where both parents are working and you might not be home, and something happens, and maybe they can call grandma, grandpa, aunt or uncle. So just help them identify other trusted adults. Be kind to yourself, lastly. Okay, it's okay to have strong emotions. Try to remain calm. Don't beat yourself up because, oh my God, I just got angry at my child. I'm a bad parent. No, be kind to yourself. Okay, that's human nature, okay, to have strong emotions like that. All right. What you can do, don't frighten them again, listen attentively, stay calm, tell them it's not their fault. No, it's not, hey, that showed up on your screen, it's not your fault. All right. Answer any questions they might have, help them report it. You can either report it to the website or the app where they saw that. If it gets really bad, you can report it to the school if it happens at school, or even to law enforcement eventually if it gets to that level. What they should do, they can turn off the screen if it's a young child. They see something, just tell them to turn it off, hit that power button, and then they can come tell you. You come there, turn it on, and you can get rid of whatever they see. If they know how to use the back button, that's the little arrow on the upper left corner of a website pointing to the left that takes you to their previous screen. They can tell a trusted adult. They can report it to the website or app. Now, this final line down here, the cybertipline.org, that's going to be a recurring theme in a lot of these slides. If there's anything inappropriate that happens online on the internet, you can go to this website. Oops, sorry. Where am I? I hit my little, sorry about that. You can go to this website and you can report it, okay? Anything that happens online, okay, whether it's a message, someone sends an inappropriate picture, or someone is chatting or texting something sexual in nature to your child, go to this website, cybertipline.org. Okay, they can help you. I know from personal experience this works. So, quick story: my 18-year-old a few years ago, when she was 14 or 15, there was a young boy in her high school that she knew, and he used to always kind of tease her and make fun of her, this and that, usual high school stuff. But one time, this kid sent my daughter a pornographic video clip. He texted it to her, right? And he made the comment and said, hey, this girl on this video sounds like you. All right. You know, not too nice to, not something nice to say. So typically my girls go to my wife anytime there's any kind of problem. They know daddy is on a different level. If they say it to daddy, daddy's, you know, a little bit more drastic. So, but this instance, my daughter came to me before going to my wife. She says, Daddy, can I show you something? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I was just kind of shocked. And it's like, did you tell your mom? And she's like, no. So she showed me this video clip, and then she showed me the text that this young boy put on there. And, you know, my natural reaction was, man, I wanted to pull this kid through the screen, right? But, you know, it bothered me. And by her telling me first, I know that it bothered her. You know, I'm not always the first choice, but she came to me first because she knew I would do something about it. So I refrained myself from handling the situation on my own, you know, because trust me, I looked this kid up, and, you know, I went on white pages, and I found where this kid lived, you know, in the next neighborhood from us, and got all the information on his parents and all that stuff. You know, I went all out, and then I decided, oh, you know what, I'm going to let the law enforcement officials handle it, because, you know, I don't want to get my emotions too involved. So I went to the cybertipline.org. It asked me for as much information as I had, and I reported it. I sent them the copy of the video clip. Now, the very next day, and I live in Maryland, right outside of DC. The Maryland investigator from the Maryland State Police contacted this family and called them into his office to do an interview. Okay. Now, of course, the parents are shocked. They don't know what's going on. You know, not their son. Their son wouldn't do anything like that. So they called him into his office. The very next day after that interview, this kid showed up to school, and there was a lot of common friends that my daughter and he had. So they were telling my daughter, hey, you know, Sebastian came to school this morning. He was crying. And everyone was asking, why are you crying? And he wouldn't say. The kid left the school that day, at the end of the day, and he was still crying. You know, he was very upset. And he finally told one of his friends that, yeah, my parents and I got called into the investigator's office, and they're asking about something that I had sent. So the good news is it impacted this kid so much, it scared him so much, and his family, that from that day on, no more problems. So I can verify.
Agent Padre, might I interrupt for 1 second? Could you check the waiting room for me? I think we have some people that are waiting to join us.
Okay, hold on a second.
Thank you so much.
Let me, you know, I kept hearing something. I'm like, but I didn't see it on my screen. I'm on the wrong screen. So
That's okay. You're busy telling a
everyone.
really powerful story, and I wanted
It's
to
okay.
wait till the end of that story to.
Oh, no, you're fine. Okay, I'll keep it on the screen so I can see who's in the
Thank
waiting
you
room.
so much.
All right,
Thank you
sorry
for the
about
new
that.
people that have joined us, and I'm glad you're joining us. We are recording this, so if you missed the first few minutes, we're going to send that back out to everybody. And Agent Padre, I'm going to turn things back over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you missed my story, but that's okay. You'll see it on the recording. So anyway, cybertipline.org, that's a great resource, all right? So together, you and your child, you want to assist them with like their privacy settings. You know, if they have social media, make their profiles private instead of public. You don't realize the kind of bad stuff that can happen if they have a public profile. That means anyone in the world can search them and find them, okay? Even just by the first name or last name or whatever, they can search and find them. And if there's someone that's a stalker or predator, next you know, they're following your child, you know, and a lot of people like to post in real time, like their location. Oh, I'm down here, you know, at whatever amusement park. And, you know, if you have a stalker or predator, that's not safe. You can assist them with blocking. If there's someone sending inappropriate messages or whatever, photos, videos, you can assist them with blocking that person. And then finally, you can report it. You know, law enforcement, cybertipline.org is a good resource, like I said. Examples of inappropriate content, there it is: inappropriate legal behavior, offensive language, threats of violence, underage drinking or drug use, hate speech. That's all the examples. That's not the only things that are out there, but those are just some examples. Okay, online privacy. When we do these presentations to the kids, we ask them these questions. Hey, what's okay and what's not okay to share? We tell them, okay, we ask them, okay, what about pictures of family and friends? The majority of kids say, yeah. And normally you would think that's okay. But in the world, the way it is now, especially with AI, with AI, a stranger can get a photo from you. They download it from, say, social media, from your profile. They download a headshot of you. And with AI, they can actually create a moving video of you doing something that you have never done in your life, appropriate or inappropriate. Okay. For those of you that, look on social media sometimes, you'll see photos on there of like famous people, politicians, celebrities, or whatever. And the videos have them doing something that, they haven't really done. So it's kind of scary. So we tell them, okay, pictures, the basic rule is ask the people that are in the photos if it's okay for you to share that on social media or whatever. Okay. Surprisingly, the majority of folks now, they'll say, no, I don't want any photos online or whatever. That's changed in the last, 5-6 years, where everyone was always posting videos. I used to do that too, post videos, photos of my family. Okay. But now I'm kind of leery about that, especially with AI that's out there. It's very scary. We ask personal information, and the kids say, no, it's not, which is correct. You don't want to share personal information. A conversation with unknown people in an online game, no, that's a no-no. Okay, creating videos on streaming services, that's case by case, depending what you're showing in the videos. The checking in or sharing your current location. I used to be a big culprit of this many years ago. On Instagram. Anytime we go on a vacation with my family, take pictures, and hey, we're down here, or we're on a Caribbean cruise. You're broadcasting to strangers or people that hey, you're not home. Okay, especially if you're hey, we're out here on a 7-day cruise. You're not home for 7 days, so it's almost like an invitation. Hey, come rob me. Okay. The other example is if someone is stalking you, or your child, and they're sharing their location, their current location, that person can show up there and track them and find them. Okay, so we tell them that's not a good thing nowadays. Sending, viewing, sharing explicit or provocative pictures, gladly the kids know that that's a no-no. Do they still do it? Yes, because everyone else is doing it or whatever. They're curious. They want to see what they can get away with. But just realize, even though they delete a photo from their phone, it's out there. It's out there on a cloud server somewhere where anyone can hack into it. And next thing they have revealing pictures of someone who thinks that they got rid of it just because they deleted it from their phone. Okay, once you send it, it's out there forever, and that's what we tell the kids. Personal information, obviously your passwords, home addresses. Okay, you don't want to share any of that. Okay. The risk of sharing personal information, cyberbullying, online enticement, we'll talk about that. Sextortion, that's extortion involving sexual content, online scams, identity theft, stalking, hacking. All of you as adults, you're aware of most of these issues here, especially with identity theft and online scams, or any scams, as a matter of fact. What you can do with your children, establish rules about what they can share. All right? Let them know what's okay, what's not okay. Learn about reporting options in case they do share some of that information. Help them set their privacy settings. Help them create strong passwords. Okay, about 15 years ago, I'm guilty. Every one of my passwords for every account I had was the word password, right? You can't get away with that now, right? There's password checkers in there. You gotta, 15 to 20 characters, no consecutive numbers, no words in the dictionary, all that stuff. That might be hard for a child to create a good, strong password, right? But you can help them create one. Talk about their friends list. That's a big deal. Both of my kids, my wife and I decided to get them their first cell phone in 8th grade when they turned 13. I thought that was kind of still young, but in 8th grade, everyone has a cell phone already, right? So I was kind of pressured that, but daddy, everyone in my class has one. Just be wary of what they're doing. Instagram was very popular at that time. When I gave them their cell phones, I told them, hey, this is daddy's cell phone, but you can I'm just letting you hold it. I'm letting you use it, but it's my phone. And they, my eldest one looked at me kind of strange, like, what do you mean it's your phone? I'm like, well, I'm the one that's paying for it. Okay, the day that you can pay for your own cell phone bill, then it's your phone. They're like, okay, so what does that mean it's your phone? I said, well, if I walk by and it's on a counter, you don't have to tell me your password or passcode or whatever. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to tell you to open the phone, and I'm going to look what's on my phone. Okay, now, I don't know, for those of you that have daughters, when they have social media, a lot of young girls, they like to, when they put on makeup and they dress up, they like to take pictures of themselves and post it on social media. Because what if, for whatever reason, this generation, they like to see how many likes they get, how many followers they get. It's a competition, right? So I'm looking at my kids' Instagram accounts, and they're posting pictures of them, dressed up, and they look a lot older than their age. And I start reading the comments, and I'm surprised, like, wow, there's like over 200 comments underneath their picture, right? And then I look at their friends list. There's over 200 friends they have. I'm like, there's no way that my 13-year-old has that many friends. So I started looking at some of the comments. One of them was like, wow, you're hot. Let's go out on a date. Okay, not appropriate for a 13-year-old, right? So I look at that, and then I tap on the name and saw the profile, and I saw that this person was on the friends list. So I asked my daughter, I was like, who is this person? And she said, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, they're your friend. You accepted their friend request. Oh, yeah, I don't know. We're just trying to see how many friends we can get. Okay, bad idea. So I had to explain to her what can happen. You don't know who that is, and they can, might be a predator. They can stalk you. I had to put a little bit of a scare into her. And I told her, the next time I come pick up your phone, I only want to see people that you actually know on your friends list, whether it be family, classmates, whatever, but there better not be any strangers on there. So by them knowing that I can pick up their phone at any time, they kind of deterred them from, doing the same thing. So talk about their friends list, all right? Create a safety plan in case something happens. Online enticement, it involves an individual communicating with someone believed to be a child, okay, via the internet, with the intent to commit a sexual offense or abduction, and it includes sextortion, okay? The thing that's kind of, that's important there, it says it's an individual communicating with someone that they think is a child, because there's a lot of police involvement with this. They have a lot of sting operations where there's law enforcement pretending to be young children, and that's how they catch some of these predators, online enticement, to kind of prevent some of these instances from happening from actual children. Okay, so they entice them, by maybe sending gifts or just talking to them in a certain way. They entice them, and they try to groom them into eventually maybe meeting in person. Okay, that's what's scary. How do they occur? Most occur on social networking sites, occur among older teens. Most of the teens are solicited by their peers. And since that happens, a lot of teens aren't bothered by it. Oh, that's harmless. I know that person. It's so-and-so, so-and-so. Okay. But you don't want to take a chance, because there might be that time where it's someone they don't know and they're not bothered by it. And next thing you know, it's someone that's, stalking them or trying to victimize them. Offenders, they groom your children by exploiting their natural curiosity. Remember, they're at that age where they're curious about everything. Relationships, all that kind of stuff. So the predators are going to try to play to that curiosity to try to, groom your children and doing something they don't mean to do. They gradually introduce explicit images. They use adult status to control the child's behavior. For example, they'll say, well, I'm the adult and you're just a child, so you need to listen to what I tell you to do. Okay, they use their adult status. That's what that means. They offer gifts like cell phones and gift cards. Now, here's a true story. Here in the DC area a few years ago, there was a young 13-year-old girl that was being groomed by an adult predator. This offender was a male. He had sent in the mail, he had sent this girl a cell phone, okay, and told her, hey, I'm going to send you a cell phone. Keep it a secret from your parents. You know, don't tell them about it. And then you and I can talk, you know, anytime we want to. If you tell your parents, they just won't understand. They'll just get mad at you. Okay. This girl was able to hide this phone from her parents for 10 months before they found where it was. Okay, hidden in her bedroom somewhere. Now, the good news is it didn't get to a point. The offender was trying. He was trying to get her to meet him in person. Okay, it didn't get to that point. That's the good news. Now, the bad news is he had convinced her to share nude or partially nude photos with him. Okay, so, you know, stuff like that can happen. And as a parent, I would be devastated. I wouldn't know what to do with myself had something like that happen to my child. But, you know, I tell my kids, hey, whatever it takes, even if you end up visiting me and I'm wearing an orange jumpsuit, just come visit daddy once in a while, because I'm going to put myself between my kids and any in harm's way. So that's just how Russ Padre is. Grooming. Someone might try to groom your children by flattering them. Oh, you're so pretty, you're so cute, you know, this and that. Sending them gifts. They'll talk about adult subjects, you know, like dating or sex. Hey, keep it a secret. They'll turn the child against their family and friends. Okay, that your child won't want to go to any more family gatherings or go hang out with their friends. They just want to stay at home all the time. You know, that could be a red flag. The person might ask for, you know, revealing pictures. They might blackmail them. Make them feel ashamed or guilty, and then eventually ask them to meet face to face. So a groomer will do all those things. So signs of grooming. So if you notice your child is calling unknown numbers, especially numbers that are not pre-programmed with a name and a contact photo or whatever, just kind of look out for that. Okay, unknown numbers. Receiving gifts in the mail, or you get an Amazon delivery and they grab it at the door and they run it up to their room, and you didn't order anything. Just kind of check up on that. Minimizing the screen. All, especially teenagers, when you walk into the room or into their room, they're going to minimize the screen. That's just, kids hide stuff from their parents. That's natural. So, but if they're doing it excessively, like even if you're kind of coming close to them, they minimize the screen. Just kind of check after that. Okay. Rejecting family and friends. Again, they just want to stay home and maybe wait for that text or that phone call or message from the person who's grooming them. Again, this is natural. Get upset when they're not online. You tell them, hey, that's no more being online. It's after 11 o'clock. That's it. All kids are going to get upset. But if they get extremely upset, and not saying this is just a bad example, but they start throwing cups and plates that because they can't get on the internet. Yeah, there's something going on there. So just kind of check after that. These are just some signs that they might be being groomed. What you can do, talk to them about relationships, healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships. Okay, for the older teens, tell a policy about meeting offline, know their online friends, teach them the warning signs, call the police, and then boom, there it is again. Report it to cybertipline.org. So this is an actual chat log that was reported to the cyber tip line. So the offender says, hey, want to trade? The child says, trade? The offender says, like nudes, I'll go first. The child says, no, ha, ha, ha. The offender still sends the photo, right, a nude photo. The child says, bye, you're gross. Keep some clothes on, LOL. Okay, so there it says the child stopped communicating and made a report to the social networking site, and then they in turn reported to the cyber tip line. They were able to track this person, and that person was arrested. Okay, so there are kids like that. They're able to handle themselves. That's where you want to get them to that point where they can handle themselves. They know who to report to. I'm sure all of you are pretty busy to handle little things like that. But better safe than sorry. If they have to come to you, that's fine. But if they can handle all themselves, like in this example, that's even better. So anything you can report to cyber tip line, all that stuff. Anyone sends you child photos or videos, ask your child to send sexual images, speaking to your child in a sexual manner, or meet in person. Report it to cybertipline.org. Sexting. So it's sending or posting nude or partially nude images. Okay, now here's research. says, and this slide is a couple years old. I think 2023 is when they made this slide. It says 19.3% of teens have sexted. 34.8% of teens say they have received the sext. Right now, I admit I'm one that I don't always answer or complete surveys when I'm requested to do so. So I'm thinking with this research, I'm sure not every teen is going to respond to this research or these survey questions. So I'm thinking the numbers here are a little bit low. It's probably actual numbers are probably a little bit higher. Okay, or at least these are the ones that admit to it. So that's a numbers thing. Take it with a grain of salt. But research suggests that. Why are they sexting? To be funny. To impress a crush. That's kind of, I don't understand that one. Peer pressure, their classmates and friends are doing it, or they get threatened if they don't do it. Experimenting relationships, right? And their boundaries. Okay, that's probably the main reason. Consequences. They can be embarrassed, humiliated. They can be cyberbullied or bullied, period. Blackmail, school discipline, police involvement. Those are all the consequences of actually participating in sexting, whether you're on the receiving end or the one that's sending it out. Okay. So to address sexting, try to start the conversations early, as young as possible. You'd be surprised. I have seen and heard second and third graders sexting each other, not just through words, but through pictures and videos. It's surprising. Like, wow, third grade, I wasn't even, girls had cooties. I wasn't even thinking about that, right? But kids nowadays, they're in they live a little bit faster. They're exposed to a lot of things. So try to start the conversations early about sexting. Give real life examples. Discuss relationships. Talk about ways an image can spread online. Online, it spreads instantly. There's more people that it can reach out to, and it can be global. Okay, anytime sexting is involved, just by being online. Okay, talk about resharing. If they receive sexting, a photo, video, whatever, don't reshare it. Don't keep forwarding to other people. Okay, tell them to think about if they were the victim, or they're the one in that photo, or they're the one in that video. How would they feel, right, if someone reshared that? And then there again, report it to cyber tip line. Sextortion, okay, is a form of sexual exploitation where children are threatened or blackmailed. So you got extortion and you got sextortion. It's extortion that involves sexual images. Okay, so someone asks your child, "Hey, send me a nude photo or send me this and that." Okay, your child might resist at first, but this person persistently asks and asks and asks, and your child's like, you know what, just to shut this person up, let me go ahead and send one, right? Just to shut them up. They send the first photo, okay? Now sextortion comes into play. Okay, send me another one. Are you crazy? I sent you one. Well, if you don't send me another one, I'm going to show this to your family. Or they'll say, send me money. If you don't send me money, I'm going to share this photo with everyone, right? So once they send that first one, they have no choice. They can't take it back. And they're stuck in a situation where they feel pressured to send more and more and more, and it just gets worse, right? So if they avoid the very first photo or very first, video, sexual image, whatever, they can avoid this situation, okay? It happens all the time. What you can do, don't comply with the demands, report it to the app. Do not delete the account in case it does go to law enforcement. You want to have evidence, because just by reporting it and saying, hey, this person, sent this to me or whatever, they're going to ask for, okay, can you send what they sent? If you don't have any evidence, it doesn't make a strong case when you report it, okay? And again, cybertipline.org. So bullying technology equals cyberbullying. When I was a young kid, all we had was bullying, right? We didn't have technology. And it always happened at school. The bullying was always at school. So it will last during the day while you're at school, but when you go home in the afternoon, you're like, oh, you're so relieved because you don't have to deal with the bully anymore, okay? But now you have technology that follows children home, and it's with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right, including the weekends, where before it was just happening at school, and they didn't have to worry about it when they weren't in school. So, it's a little bit more drastic now, right? All right. Okay, so these are examples of cyberbullying, sending mean texts, photoshopping photos, creating fake profiles, posting fight videos, spreading rumors, posting or resharing embarrassing pictures, sending threatening or harassing comments, harassing and stalking. Those are all examples. At a minimum, there's probably more out there, but at a minimum, these are examples of cyberbullying. And I want to say the majority of children have either seen cyberbullying happen to someone else or experienced it, or it might be the cyberbullying themselves, right? They fall into those categories. All right. So again, I spoke about this, the difference between cyberbullying and bullying. It follows the child home, it spreads faster, and there's a wider audience, okay, just because it's online. It may cause some of these symptoms here: depression, inability to think clearly, anxiety, low self-esteem, social isolation, loneliness, running away, substance abuse. Now, I know a few years ago in the news, you would always hear about a child committing suicide, and they would say, oh, because they were cyberbullied. That's not the case. That's actually very rare. Anytime a teen or a child decides to take their own life, and say they were being cyberbullied, it's not just cyberbullying. There's other underlying circumstances there. They could have issues at home. They might be depressed, or there's history of trauma. All those are contributing factors leading to when a child decides to take their own life. Okay, it's not just cyberbullying alone. So a victim of cyberbullying, they might stop using the computer or cell phone, because it's very traumatic to them when they get cyberbullied. They act nervous when they get that little tone, like they receive an email or a text, right? They kind of jump or they're nervous and they don't want to read it. They seem uneasy about going to school, okay? And they withdraw from friends and family. Those are just some symptoms of a cyberbullying victim. If you see any of these symptoms, don't automatically assume, oh, you're being cyberbullied. Just kind of keep an eye out on your kids. You know your kids better than anyone else. So, every child reacts differently. These are the 4 categories. You got the cyberbully, the victim, the bystander, and the upstander. Unfortunately, the upstander category is probably the smallest percentage of these categories. The cyberbully, they instigate the bullying, or even someone that joins in, that's a cyberbully. Obviously, the victim is the one being bullied. The bystander, they just stand by and watch as it's happening to other people and they don't do anything. The upstander, that's the one that sees what happens and they intervene, or they interrupt, or they speak up to stop the bullying, okay? We try to tell the kids, be an upstander. Even if you don't know the person, it's a good feeling. You put yourself in their place, and if you're being cyberbullied and a stranger comes up to you and says, hey, can I help you with anything? What can I do to make you feel better? That's a good thing. What you can do, support your child and solve the problem together, saving the evidence, block the cyberbully, set up new accounts. If it's like social media, close out the account and set up a new one. You can talk to the school if it's happening at the school. I know the schools get very involved with any type of cyberbullying. The schools that I've been out to, they're very aggressive when it comes to cyberbullying at school. Okay, and then report it to the cyber tip line again. That's the final option there. The person that's actually doing the cyberbullying, these are some of their behaviors. They can quickly switch screens or close out the program that they're using. They use the computer at all hours of the day and night, right? Like they hardly ever sleep. They're always on a computer. They get very, very upset if they can't use the computer. I used the example earlier. They're throwing plates and dishes and cups. They avoid discussions about what they're doing. So if you ask them, hey, what are you doing? They kind of try to avoid that. Just watch them a little bit closer, okay? A lot of cyberbullies, they use multiple online accounts. That way you can't catch them on one particular account. Okay. Let's see, next slide. How to prevent it. Monitor and intervene in your child's online behavior in the same way you would do with their offline behavior. Okay. I know a lot of parents out there that they got very strict rules when it comes to, offline behavior with hey, clean your room, do this and that, don't do this, don't do that. But when it comes to online behavior, a lot of times they're not around when their child is on their device or on their phone or whatever. So you have to monitor and intervene to keep your kids safe. Okay. Establish expectations for their behavior, set consequences if they're being a cyberbully, model good online and offline behavior. Be a good example for your children. Okay. It's especially when they're younger, it's monkey see, monkey do. They see you doing something, but you're telling them to do something else. Guess what? They're not going to listen to you. They're going to do what you do. Okay. So be a good example to your kids. That really should go unsaid, but talk to your child about being an upstander, establish expectations for reporting cyberbullies, encourage them to stand up for the victim, help them report it. Talk to your child about not forwarding mean or inappropriate content about another person, right? Help them to be a hero. Tech options. Installing filtering and monitoring software, consult your cell phone provider, research options for other mobile devices, look at individual apps, explore built-in security features. Now, the U.S. Secret Service or the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, they don't endorse anything like this, but Russ Padre, I will endorse something that I personally use, and it's an app or program. It's called Bark, B-A-R-K. Now there might be some of you that have heard of Bark, and it's monitoring software. So you install it on their device, whether it's their phone or their tablet or whatever, and it filters any content coming in or going out, and you can adjust the settings for older kids, whether it be a simple curse word, like damn or something. You wouldn't expect that coming to maybe a third grader or whatever, right? But anything that's inappropriate, whatever it is, you're going to get a notification, right? And a screenshot of what was sent or received from your child's device. Okay. It's working in the background, so they don't know that it's working or it's there, but you get a notification, and then, you can look at it and you can address it as appropriate. My example was, again, in 8th grade, there was a group chat, and there was a lot of inappropriate, not just content and text, but, photos and stuff like that was being distributed through that group chat. Now, luckily, my daughters weren't sending it, but it was being sent to them as part of the group chat. So, of course, I get the notification, and I had to show it to them, like, hey, this came to you. Someone emailed this, or someone texted this, and yes, they did. I said, well, I'm glad to see you didn't participate or forward it or whatever. But what I did do is, I kind of brought it up to the parents, in a nonchalant way. Hey, my daughter received something, and I was looking at it. It's kind of inappropriate, and I noticed, it was sent by your child. So I gave them a copy of the notification with a screenshot, and let them handle it. I don't tell them how to raise their kids or whatever, but it was resolved. Okay, it was resolved. There were no more inappropriate things being sent anymore. But BARK, that was oh my God, that's 9 years ago probably when that was. I do know on a recent presentation I did last summer, it talks about options from other mobile devices. Bark has a cell phone, and as I was presenting to a parent presentation like this one, there was a teenage daughter that was there. This was in person, and I talked about Bark, and she raised her hand, and in a disgusted tone, she was like, "My dad gave me this phone. It's a Bark phone." And I was like, oh, they got Bark phones now? She's like, "I hate it." She goes, "I can only use it certain times of the day. I can only call certain numbers, and I can only visit certain websites." It was really locked down. I think the girl was 15 years old. And I said, "Really?" And then the dad raised his hand. He goes, "Yeah." She had gotten to some stuff, and that's her option. You know, we gave her a Bark phone. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Track phone.
You know, what's that? Oh, sorry. So yeah, so Bark phone. Okay, so BARK. I forgot. I don't know how much it costs now, but it wasn't too bad 8 years ago. So again, remember what you can do. Connect. That means set some ground rules. Research the device's capabilities before you buy it. Go beyond the safeguards that come with it, and then report it. Okay, that's how you connect. Learn. Know the platforms and the games that they're using. You know, the websites. Ask them to show you how to use it. Right. Be proactive. Teach your kids to spot common tricks used by, you know, these predators and offenders. Okay, and then engage. Okay, talk about it. Get involved. Most importantly, don't pull the plug. Don't just take away internet access because, you know, they might have made mistakes online. That doesn't solve the problem. Okay, talk to them about protecting themselves and respecting others online. That's how you engage with them. And we come to the end of the presentation. So this website here, for younger children especially, you know, netsmartkids.org, there's activities for them, there's ebooks, there's games, and there's videos for these young kids, all right? So netsmartkids.org. And what I can do is I can send a PDF version of this presentation, and it can be distributed through email, all right? So that is it. That is it for my presentation. Yeah, we're a little bit under an hour. I'm willing to stay on for as long as you need me to. If you have any questions, you can either unmute yourself or maybe put it in the chat or, you know, whatever. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're very welcome.
Agent Padre, this was
Yeah.
so unbelievably fantastic. As a parent of a high school age student, I can't thank you enough. I believe Rob is still here. Rob, I'll turn things over to you, and I can happy to moderate some questions if we do have, and we will get that presentation. This recording will be on our website shortly, and we're going to send this out to all of our members. Rob, if you'd like me to moderate some questions, or you, I know you can as well.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. And Padre, thank you again for the presentation. This is really great. You know, I can relate pretty closely. I'm a vet as well, but I have 3 daughters. So, you know, some of the come see me in the jumpsuit, I think I can, you know, it's interesting. But anyway, that's how all parents feel about their kids. So it's really important. This is really important information to make sure that parents are aware of it, and especially parents that are with younger kids.
Definitely.
I don't particularly have any questions. In general, the question that I would ask you is, we know the trends continue to change, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint where the trends are going. Are we starting to see this becoming more of an issue with younger kids, or are we still within a certain threshold?
So to answer that question, I did a elementary school presentation 2 weeks ago here in DC, and it was for 3rd to 5th graders, and the principal was there, and she actually did mention that they have issues with cyberbullying, you know, with that age group, you know, 3rd to 5th grade. She didn't tell me if it was 3rd grade or 5th grade. I assumed it was the older kids, but you just never know. It could be children as young as, you know, in 3rd grade, and they're doing that stuff. So the trend, yeah, now unfortunately, you know, we hear about more younger children that are doing it. The big thing that I'm worried about now, because the good guys are kind of behind the 8 ball when it comes to artificial intelligence. We had a training meeting in June, last June, and it was from the National Center, and the lady was talking about AI. You know, it had just come out, and she was saying, and this is scary, you could be sitting at your car at a stoplight, someone pulls up next to you, and they take a photo of you in your car. You know, you're minding your own business, and it could be just a side shot. Okay, with AI, even with that side shot, they can recreate your whole face and have you, you know, make these videos of you. So she said back in June, it was fairly new, but they already were handling over 3,000 cases of bullying and teasing from young kids using AI. And that was last summer. And what they were afraid of is once the older folks started getting more involved, it could be more serious than just posting a funny video of someone doing something. It could be, whatever, to something sexual in nature or whatever. And, they're sending these videos out. And I don't know if you've seen some of these videos, but they look very realistic. Like you couldn't tell that they're AI generated. So that's the scary thing that people, and just on the news the other day, people can get 3 words from, like you answer the phone, you just say 3 words, and they can generate through AI, they can generate a whole conversation using your voice, and they're using blackmail. Like they can pretend to be a family member that's in trouble. Hey, please send me money, right? And they're targeting a lot of the older folks, and older folks are sending money to these people because they think that's their family member talking to them on the phone. So there's a lot of scary stuff that's out there. But this being online and trying to get kids to realize, because, you got to admit, all you ever see young kids do now is that, they're always in their phone. Older kids too, right? They're walking around and they're always on their phone. So you want to make sure that they're aware that there's bad stuff that happens. It's not all, like I said, unicorns and rainbows out there. There's bad people that are out there that they prey specifically on children, unfortunately. So.
And I know Garen
Yeah,
is a
good question.
Rockstar Youth Board member here, and this was his concept. Garen, I know he just went off screen. I'm sure he'll come back on screen. I'm sure he'll have some thoughts as well. But we can't thank Garen enough and our youth committee members enough for all of their work on this project. Garen, do you have some thoughts?
I thought it was a great presentation. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you so much and taking time out of your day to come do this webinar with us.
No, it's my pleasure. Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. We do offer, like I said, I mentioned earlier, there's these presentations that can be done at your school for the children. Now, I know there's a field office in New York. I think they're out of New York City, but there might be other field offices in the area. They have ambassadors like myself that would actually come out there in person to do these presentations to the kids. So, let me see. No, I have my email on the thing, but I'll send you the email to contact the office that can help facilitate that for any schools that are out there. If there's any principals or school administrators that are on this meeting, if you're interested in having even a parent presentation for your students, the parents of your students, this exact presentation to the parents, and then what we suggest is to do the children presentations afterwards, because if we do the children presentations first, they're going to go home and say, oh, mommy, daddy, there was a strange man today. He was talking about sextortion, right? And the mom and dad, it takes them off guard. So we want to kind of prepare the parents first before the children come up with questions. So typically the parent presentation, and then they'll schedule the children's presentations after that. But I'll send you the email address that you can contact, and they'll try to get in touch with the field offices in your area, and they'll come out there and do that.
That'd be fantastic.
And it's completely free.
In New York, we have a field office in Albany. We have a field office in Buffalo.
Yep.
And then we have
Yep.
2 field offices in New York City. So we have 4 field offices here in New York. So
Perfect. Yeah. So they have ambassadors in each office, and you can if you can get a direct contact email or phone number through them,
okay, great.
that'd probably be the quickest way. Yeah. Or I can give you the main one and headquarters here, and they'll reach out to you let them know what area of New York you're in. They'll reach out to the corresponding field offices to contact them and say, hey, contact this school to set up student presentations.
I don't think anyone's going to be as good as you just were, though. So.
Oh, trust me. I'm just comfortable talking about this, and I've been doing so many of them. So that's why, it's kind of easy for me. But trust me, there are other presenters out there that do a lot better job than I do. I try to make it interesting.
It was fantastic. Patty, Rob, and Garen, some final thoughts?
Thank you again, James and Garen. Great job. Really appreciate it, and thank you for persisting and make sure we get this webinar done with Jamie. I do appreciate your effort, and Garen as well. To you, Garen and Patty. Thanks.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And thank you also for being a resource, for suggesting that, because that wasn't something that crossed my mind of, the people that we can reach out to. This is a great presentation online, of course, but for a lot of our units, a parent and then a student presentation is really a great way to be a resource and to engage our families in a very important topic. So thanks so much for being a part of this tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And for the parent one, they can do it in person or virtual like this one too. I know it's more convenient in the evenings when people get off work, maybe after dinner, to do it virtually. So the majority of times the parent ones are online. So.
Great. Well,
All right.
thank you, New York
Well,
State.
thanks
PTA.
again.
And Garen, we want to close up and we'll say goodnight to everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Darren.
I agree with you.
Great job,
Bye.
Garen. Amazing work.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night, everybody. We'll make sure to get the presentation out to everybody as well.
I'll
Thanks,
send it to you
Karen.
right now.
Great.
Great job, everybody.